السلام عليكم وأهلا وسهلا بكم طلبتنا الأعزاء، متمنين لكم السلامة التامة. لنبدأ الشرح التوضيحي للفصل الأول من هذا الكتاب، والمتمحور حول طبيعة وماهية إدارة الأعمال. في هذا الجزء first we are going to define we are going to define the management, the first thing, and the second thing, we are going to give an overview of the level of the management within an organization. Then talk about the function of the management or the managements in the different level of the management in the organization. Then the rules and the responsibility of the managers and the skills that the managers or the leaders should adopt or integrate in this difficult time to ensure the accomplishment or the achievement of the organization objectives. As we know in today's tough and uncertain economy, في هذه الصعوبات التي تواجه الشركات, company is in need for strong managers, strong leaders that have the ability or can accomplish or achieve the business goals of the organization. As we know, each organization having specific goals. كل منظمة أو شركة لها أهداف عريضة, خطوط عريضة أو أهداف واضحة. So the rules or the responsibility of the managers, as we're going to explain later on in the coming slide, is to solve the problem of that organization, to حل مشاكل الشركة, to coach and motivate the employee, تحفيز الموظفين, to achieve the goals, to plan the activities of the employees within the organization. So the managers fulfill many rules. Actually, they are having different responsibility in different levels, whether in the top levels of the organization or the lower level. That's what we are going to explain in the coming slide, or the lower level, the middle level of the organization. So let's start firstly going in to clearly define the organization, the management, then the different level, the three level of the management, top, middle and lower level, then the function, the responsibility of the managers in the top level, in the middle level, then in the lower level, then the rules and the responsibility that the manager should carry and do within an organization, then finally the skills that the managers and the employees even should adopt to be managers or leaders, or the skills that managers should adopt to solve the problem of the organization. في الوضع الحالي والوضع الصعب, المؤسسات حقيقة really in need for good managers, بحاجة إلى مدراء محترفين عندهم القدرات الشخصية, قدرات اتخاذ القرار, قدرات حل المشاكل, motivate, تحفيز الموظفين, coach, الترين, تدريب الموظفين وما إلى ذلك. خلينا نبدأ in defining the management and the organization, the first system. The first and the most important issue to understand what is organization and what is the goals of the organization, then who is the managers and the role and responsibility of managers within an organization. As we know and as defined in the book, organization presenting a group of individuals, مجموعة من الأفراد, المنظمة أو المؤسسة أو الشركة كشركة سامسونج, كشركة أبل, having a group of individuals, مجموعة أفراد, مجموعة employees, موظفين, permanently join forces to accomplish common goals, اجتمعوا في الشركة لتحقيق, to accomplish or to achieve common goals, meaning that each organization or each company having goals, specific goals. Some of the organization having profit goals, let's say Apple, Samsung, or حتى بعض الجامعات بتلاقي هدفها ربحية, تسعى إلى الربح. So the people there in that organization join to achieve this profit, you know. Some other organizations are not seeking profit. they are looking for something like services such as non-profit organizations such as the public university or the public school. So we do agree هناك مجموعة من الأشخاص. المنظمة هي عبارة عن مجموعة من الأشخاص مجتمعين to achieve or accomplish common goals لتحقيق أهداف معينة سواء كانت whether profit goals or non-profit goals. But the thing and the most whether it's a profit or non-profit بغض النظر هي ربحية أو غير ربحية, all of the organization share some two common issues, يعني جميع المؤسسات تشترك في الشغلتين. The first thing, it's a group of individual, مجموعة من الأفراد موجودين في مكان معين لتحقيق غرض معين, and they've been something like monitored or controlled by managers. This is the second and the important thing in the organization. So there is a group of people, and secondly there is a manager. So what is actually the manager's job? The manager's job is to administer, to coordinate, تنسيق, resources effectively to achieve the goals of an organization. So the job of the individuals and the managers in the organization is to achieve the goal of the organization. So managers المدراء or leaders in the organization, so they manage the resources of the organization. In each organization, in each company, there is some, what they call that, there is human resources, financial resources, non-financial resources, and what is. Many types of resources are available there in the organization. So what is the role of the managers? ما هو دور المدراء? Manage the resources to achieve the goals. بيعملوا management للresources, للorganizational resources المادية, الشخصية, الهيومن كابيتال and whatever, رأس المال البشري, رأس المال الأسس وما إلى ذلك لتحقيق أهداف المؤسسة. So let's take an example to make it more clear for you. Something like Apple organization, or let's say Samsung, whatever. Apple, finishing by 2020, they employ more than 300,000 employees. عندهم 300,000 موظف. What is the goal of Apple? Is to use their talent and technology, تستخدم المواهب والتكنولوجيا to provide a superior production, يعني لتقديم unique production, منتجات نوعية ذات جودة عالية. وبالتالي Apple having more than 300,000 employees, at the same time they are having more than 230 managers. All of these employees and the managers are working to achieve Apple goals, which is providing a unique phone to the client or to the customer to satisfy the customers. Meaning that if we imagine there is something like an organization called Apple, having inside that organization, the goal of Apple is clear, to تقديم منتجات نوعية ذات جودة عالية زي التلفونات واللابتوب وما إلى ذلك. وبالتالي there is two common things in that organization. الهدف واضح, في عندي أفراد اللي هو employees الموظفين وما إلى ذلك, and they are having the managers or the leaders in different departments. As we know, each organization also having department. Let's have a look to the example to get a more or clear view of that. Now, before we go to that, I want before we go to the complexity and the department of Apple or any other organization, let me show you some of what they call that responsibility of the managers in the organization. Let's say we are talking about the sales department in Apple organization. Sales department, قسم المبيعات. So what is the responsibility of the managers in such department? إيش مسؤولية المدراء في هذا القسم؟ قسم المبيعات مثلا في شركة أبل. Let's have a look. First, managing organizational sales by developing a business plan. So the first thing, those managers are required to set up or develop a business plan. That plan should cover the sales, how many bees we are going to sell, the revenue, العوائد, and the expenses controls, how we could control the الاكسبنسز الكوست and so on المصروفات والكنترول الصرف وما إلى ذلك. So the first thing that manager, I'm talking about the sales department. Later on we will talk the other department, what is their responsibility. That is an example to show you the responsibility of the managers. So the first thing is to develop a business plan. The second thing is to set the sales target. How many bees for the sales team each in the sales department or sales point, whatever, as we know, they are having sales team, فريق المبيعات. Each of these people having target, something like I'm working in Apple sales team, for example. So I'm having target to sell something like 2 phones per month or 3 phones. So the manager should first create a plan, business plan, to something like identify or determine the sale, the revenue, the expenses. The second thing is to set up the target, for each individual in his team, then tracking sales goals. Once there is a plan, as we know, there should be a goals. They are having goals to sell, to create customer satisfaction, اللي هو تحقيق رضا الأفراد، تحقيق كم معين من المبيعات. So they are having goals. So the role of the manager, مسؤولية المانجر is to track, make something like monitoring, tracking، يحدد، يراقب وما إلى ذلك، and report result، يعمل report on the performance and sales and revenue and all of these issues. Then overseeing the activities and the performance. That is a very important part of the sales team. As we know, when it comes to team, that is also another topic in our book. We will talk about that. Each person performs differently. Some people are performing perfectly, and some other are not performing. They are having some problems in the performance. And performance, by the way, is أداء الموظفين. So the rules of the sales managers in that department is to measure the performance. It is أداء الموظفين. Who is performing? Who is not performing? Something like that. Who is working? Who is not working? That is the fourth issue. The fifth issue is to coordinate with the marketing issue. For sure, we are in need in the sales department for some advertisement. We are in need for some research, some result from the market department. So we should something like coordinate. يعني نخلق نوع من something like يكون في بيننا وبين قسم الماركتينج تنسيق. You understand, to provide them with some information and to get from them some information, to work together in line. Sales and marketing is something like وجه العملة واحدة. Then finally, develop your sales team through motivation. Also, he is responsible to motivate the people, to train the people, to تقديم النصح, advising, counseling, and the product knowledge education, teach the people. So the manager in the sales department having many responsibility. اللي هو مدير المبيعات عنده مسؤوليات كتير. اللي هو خطة القسم business plan. أول شيء جهز البزنس بلان، السيلز، المبيعات، العائدات والكوست وما إلى ذلك. يحدد السيلز target also. Define the sales target, also the sales goals, make tracking, monitoring. So he is something like planning, organizing, leading also, if you look to the motivation and so on, monitoring also. So he is doing all of the management function, by the way, in one department or in one job. That is for the sales issue. So if we want to talk about the human resources, for example, human resources manager also having some other responsibility to do. Staffing, hiring, recruiting, training. اختيار، التعيين، التدريب. That is the responsibility of the HR managers. Production managers also having some other responsibility. Research, design, quality, and all of this issue. So each manager in each department of the organization is leading a group of people, مسؤول عن مجموعة من الأشخاص اللي هم التيم, to achieve specific goals. And they are having rules and responsibility in each department. And make sure those managers are working in complex environment. بيشتغلوا في بيئة معقدة, especially in nowadays companies like Google, Apple, and this overseas branches, globalization, الشركات المتعددة الأفرع حول العالم, الدايفرسيتي, التنوع وما إلى ذلك, تتطلب very skilled managers, قادة أو managers مدراء محترفين جدا, to deal with diversity اللي هي التنوع وما إلى ذلك, تنوع الموظفين, to deal with a complex environment. So now let's move to the complexity of the management, to see how complex is the process within an organization. قديش ممكن تكون معقدة الإجراءات داخل الشركة في بعض العمليات. To see how organization is in need for skillful managers and expert, professional محترفين. So the complexity of the management. Let's say, for example, Apple decide to manufacture or provide a new phone to the market. قررت شركة أبل أنها تنتج تلفون جديد. Maybe this issue will require the manufacturing department, if the manufacturing department receive an order from the top management to provide a new phone or whatever they are looking for. So there will be what they call that. Maybe that department will require to work with the customer relation, involve this issue and require the managers there to involve with the customer relation to get some researches, some information about the customer's attitude, the customer satisfaction. راح يتطلب معهم التعامل مع اللي هو فرع آخر. That figure, by the way, is presenting the department in the organization, in Apple organization, اللي هي الديبارتمنت الأفرع اللي هو human resources, عندنا الكاستمر ريليشن شيب, المانيفاكتشرنج, السبلاي تشين, الفاينانشال مانجمنت, الإدارة المالية, الانفنتوري, المخازن, السبلاي تشين, لوجيستكس, التوصيل وما إلى ذلك, الهيومن resource and so on. So if they decide to manufacture a new phone, إذا تطلب الأمر أن يصنع تلفون جديد, this issue may be require them to deal with the customer relation department. Maybe they will require them to deal with the human resources, to hire a new IT people, a new production people, a new, let's say, research staff and whatever. May this require them to deal with the tax assets management or to the inventory to keep their stuff or whatever, or to get some financial support, financial resources. Maybe they will be in need for human resources, so they will deal with the human resources. Maybe they are in need for financial resources, so they will deal with what they call it, the financial management department, or with the supply chain to deliver their product or their stuff. Meaning that the managers may require to deal with all of those departments together. Something like, let's move to the, what they call it, to the human resources department, If the human resources department is about to something like hire new staff, may that department will be in need for some financial resources. May will be in need for something like, what they call it, top management involvement, you know, decision, a new policy or whatever. So meaning that the managers are working in complex environment, depends on the level. By the way, التعقيد وعدم التأكد في المستويات العليا in the top level management is totally different, مختلفة from the complexity and the, what they call that, and uncertainty in the lower level اللي هي ال operational level. So مستويات التعقيد وعدم التأكد والصعوبة تختلف حسب اختلاف المستويات الإدارية في التوب ليفل, الميدل ليفل and the lower level. In each level there is a different, what they call it, requirement, different skills needed. So نهاية, to summarize, we do agree that the managers, even the branch managers, let's say you are in McDonald's, you know, you did order 2 or 3 things together. McDonald's should serve the client within 3 minutes, you know that. So in 3 minutes you should receive your order, or else you can complain about that. So the manager there, the branch manager or the sales managers, you know, should provide you with your order within 3 minutes. So meaning that he should collect different issues. So the performance of the employees, you know, the progress, you know, is affecting the, what they call it, the outcome is affected by the complexity of the issues, you know. So managers are working finally, المدراء يعملون في بيئة معقدة جدا وقد يتطلب الأمر to integrate, to coordinate with different departments, إنهم يعملوا مع أفرع و what they call it ومستويات أخرى وتختلف from level to level, top level different. So now if we look to the, let's say, to the decision making process, آليات اتخاذ القرار in the university. The decision in the top level management, you know, the top level management like the head of the university, مجلس الأمناء, النائب الأكاديمي, they are working now with the different level, with the middle level. They are working with the human resources. They are working with the financial department. They are working with the college, middle management, you know, dean, العميد, and whatever. Maybe you understand? No, not maybe, sure, they are working with that to find out or to take a decision to see how complex is the situation in regard of the e-learning. عشان ياخذوا قرار بالتعليم الإلكتروني تطلب منهم الأمر بالتعاون مع الإدارة الوسطى، العمداء وما إلى ذلك، مع الهيومن ريسورسز، مع الفاينانشال ديبارتمنت and مجلس الأمناء and so on, to see how complex is the progress within an organization, whether it's a profit organization or non-profit organization, مؤسسة ربحية أو غير ربحية. تعقيدات وكبر حجم المنظمات تتطلب very skills managers. So if you think to be a manager, you should look for very advanced and specific skills. We are going to explain it in the coming slide. So in regard of such complexity as we mentioned and the levels of the management, let's have a look to the levels of the management to see how complex is the process and who is working there in that levels. مين اللي بيشتغل في المستويات الإدارية. What is their responsibility as a managers. إيش مسؤولياتهم كمدراء. What is the required skill that they must adopt, you know, to ensure the success, to ensure the achieves of the organization goals. Let's have a look to that level. By the way, try to watch this video. نزلنا في السلايدات for Steve Jobs. He's showing how to manage the people within an organization, and he is explaining his experience in managing the people in Apple organization. Amazing. Try to watch it. So that is the levels of the management. As you saw here, there is the top level, middle level, and the lower level of the management. Actually, typical management levels fall into 3 categories, as we showed: the top level, the middle level, and the lower level management. Top level actually presenting the administrative level, the coordinate service, and they are planning there, they are creating the policy, the regulation, اللي هو البورد اوف دايركتور، شيف اكزيكتيف اوفيسر، شيف فاينانشال اوفيسر، اللي هو يعني لو اخذنا زي ما تفضل الجامعه كمثال، لو بدنا نتكلم عن التوب ليفل مانجمنت بنتكلم عن مجلس الامناء، نتكلم عن رئيس الجامعه، نائب رئيس الجامعه للشؤون الاكاديميه، نائب رئيس الجامعه للشؤون الماليه. So they are creating اللي هو administrative level اللي هو المستوى الإداري. They coordinate, they issue policies, regulation, بصدروا اللي هو السياسات، القواعد. They control the goals, they set the goals, the vision, the mission of the organization, and so on. Those people having what they call that, they are having function. They are having some function to let's have to the function of those people. So we do agree that the top levels of the management, including اللي هم CEO, COO, CEO اللي هو Chief Executive Officer, and Chief Financial Officer, CFO, and so on, Board of Directors, and let's have a look to the function they are doing within an organization. So, as we stated, lay down the policies, the objective of the organization, بحددوا سياسات، أهداف العريضة للمؤسسة، الأهداف العريضة للجامعة، strategizing the plans، استراتيجيات والخطط وما إلى ذلك. Keeping the communication between the enterprise and the outside world. They are representing the organization or the enterprise. So that is their function. Board of Directors, اللي هو the head of the university، مجلس الأمناء، البورد of directors، النائب الأكاديمي. They is something like lay down the policies، السياسات، الأهداف العريضة، الخطط، whether strategizing the plan to achieve the goals, and they create the communication part in between of that organization and the, what they call it, the other organization with the outside organization. So how about the middle levels function? Middle levels actually presenting the middle managers, that one who report to the top managers. When we talk about the university, we talk about the deans, you know, and if we talk about something like Apple, we are talking about, as we talked about the sales managers, the branch sales managers, the division managers اللي هم رؤساء الأقسام، رؤساء الفروع، العمداء في الكليات وما إلى ذلك. They are in charge of something like training the employee، حلقة وصل in between the top management and the lower management level. Train the employee, motivate the employee, something like communicator in between the top management and the low management level. And they are having some function, something like their functions is to carry out the plans of the organization according to the policies and directives laid down by the top levels management. Coordination or communication between the top and the low level. So they carry out the plans, you know, they carry out the plans of the organization according to the policies and the top management. حلقة وصل, they organize the division or the departmental activities اللي هو أنشطة بيعملوا organization manage لأنشطة القسم اللي موجودين فيه, and inspire or create motivation for junior managers, بحفزوا وبنشطوا الجونيور مانجرز اللي هو المدراء الصغار في رؤساء الأقسام أو في المستويات الدنيا وما إلى ذلك. Inspiration, motivation as well for the junior manager to improve the efficiency, الفعالية والكفاءة, to achieve the goals of the organization. That is the function of the lower management, the middle level function. So let's have a look to the what they call that, to the lower management and their function. By the way, the lower management is actually something like the supervisor, the operative level. The lower level function, they call it اللي هي المستويات الدنيا اللي هي operation levels. العمليات يعني المستويات الدنيا. Something like if you talk about university, when you talk about the lower level, is something like operational. رجال العمليات يعني something like us, the lecturers. They are the one who is going through the operation, solving the problem, directing the operation, leading, ensuring, the achievement of the objectives, in the company, boss, shift boss, section chief, supervisor, and so on. In the private company, I was talking about the university to present the low-level functions, the low-level employees, and what is actually their job. In company, in a profit organization such like Apple or Samsung or whatever, they are having different roles actually. They are caring of the maintenance, اللي هو الإصلاحات, the appropriate relationship, supervising, directing the employees to do this, توجيه الإشراف, الإصلاحات وما إلى ذلك. Those people are having some functions also to do within an organization. To allocate tasks. The first thing إنه بيحددوا المهام والمسؤوليات to the operative employee اللي هم الموظفين الصغار. بيحددوا مسؤوليات الموظفين العمليات, what to do and how to do that and whatever. That is something like boss or chief boss, like this, to ensure equality. I told you they are in the operational level اللي هو قسم العمليات يعني lower level. So the equality should be there. Responsible for the production quantity as well, equality, and they are responsible for the quality of the product and the quantity اللي هي الكمية والجودة وما إلى ذلك. To communicate well as the objective of the term laid down from the higher level اللي هو برضو حلقة وصل بين الإدارة اللي هو middle level and the lower level, بيعملوا حلقة وصل, and to give instruction and guidance to worker on their day-to-day job. So they are working as a supervisor, responsible to allocate tasks, بوزعوا المهمات على العمال, بشيكوا بتأكدوا من الجودة and quantity الكمية, and to communicate. They receive orders from the middle management and pass it to the lower management. So finally we do agree that there is 3 levels: top management, middle management, lower management. التوب management مجلس الإدارة, مجلس الأمناء, المدراء العموم وما إلى ذلك. The middle level include اللي هو المانجرز, مدراء الفروع ومدراء الكليات وما إلى ذلك. lower level اللي هم السوبرفايزر, التنفيذيين واللي بيشرفوا على العمال. That is the level within an organization and the functions of each level. There is a video also dealing with the level or explaining the levels of the management within an organization. Try to watch it, having much good and clear information about the teams, the levels, the function, the responsibility, and all of this. Then finally, the function of the managers. In each level of the organization, we saw and we agree that managers having functions. وظائف, عندهم وظائف معينة. planning, organizing, leading, controlling, staffing. So we are going to explain such particular in the coming video. Stay tuned, try to download the PowerPoint presentation and have a look to each particular. Everything is reflected or back to what they call it in such a slide is belong to the book, including some supplementary document. يعني رجاء الطلبة الرجوع إلى السلايدات، الرجوع إلى الكتاب. السلايدات ما هي إلا شرح لكل فقرة، كل بارتيكولر في الكتاب. شكرا جزيلا، دمتم بخير، نأمل من الله السلامة للجميع. شكرا جزيلا.